Welcome, and I'm happy we're having this interview because I listened to what Dr. Victor Ike-Oye said. It's highly unfortunate, but to address the question you asked me, straight after our convention that I emerged, on June 19, 2029, Dr. Victor Ike-Oye took me and APGA to court, claiming that I was not the national chairman and that APGA should stop recognizing me. He got orders of court to this effect. This is the order of court restraining me from parading myself and also restraining APGA from recognizing me. That was immediately after our convention. Not only that, he got an order of substituted service inside APGA office in Wuse 2. He served me and APGA in the office of, he didn't just get, it was his order of substituted service, and saying this was my last plenum in APGA national headquarters in Wuse 2. Before we now move to that office we have. I listened to it. I wouldn't call it, because I have to restrain myself as by level of what I actually did send him a message, but the message was that they refused, they initially refused to collect our, the convention was called after the congresses. Once he had lost all the congresses, the congress that we did on 2nd, 3rd, and 6th, he decided to, I had a meeting in the army, because I'm a member of the War College, their mess. I invited the legal advisor, and he told me that I shouldn't bother contesting, that they decided to do a one list. So I sent a message to Oye telling him that I purchased my form and that he has instituted a convention committee, that whether he moves the convention or not, the convention committee with the BOT members have decided to go ahead with their convention. But let me kill all that so that we save time. He mentioned something there that INEC said they supervised election and I did not. I give you a straight example that you will remember. In 2021, was it 2021, Anambra did the elections when this suit in Jigawa that has actually now pronounced me national chairman in Supreme Court, where he says that I'm nowhere mentioned in this particular suit. That's the case in Jigawa State, where they put up a 7-man disciplinary committee to recommend that me, the national chairman, should be removed from office pending national convention. And then the number 2, the NEC appointed the deputy national south, Jude Okeke. You remember that immediately this court thing came out, Jude Okeke was taken on by INEC as the acting national chairman. I'm sure you remember. Jude Okeke became. So how would Jude Okeke have become acting national chairman if the convention was not monitored, if the convention was illegal, if it was not affirmed our convention? They took my deputy as replacing me after this case. And now this case went from the lower court to the Court of Appeal, where they refused to join me. And after the Court of Appeal, the judge said on page 78, somewhere in our records, that I ought to have been joined. I ran off again to the Supreme Court, where the lead judge said there's no joiner in this case, that the case is a rubbish case, that it's going to be dismissed. Then the second judge, Salowa, made it clear that politicians are very mischievous people. It's all in the records. Salowa's judgment, that politicians are mischievous, that they need to revert back to the status quo where it was before that misdeed was of my removal. The other judge, Lawal, said that everything happened in Owerri. Have the press ever asked Oye, where did you do your convention? He keeps parading a letter from a member of staff, and it's highly unfortunate. While the judges were on recess, members of staff of the Supreme Court went off. One wrote a letter. The chief registrar wrote a letter to INEC, hand delivered it to INEC, where a bailiff had already sent our Supreme Court judgment is through a bailiff. They hand delivered to say there was no amendment of 9th of May. The chief registrar wrote it and signed it herself, wrote one to the police. Then they now cooked the media pressman, Dr. Akande, and got him to come out on all the television. All the press people brought them together and announced that it was a fake judgment that I was parading. We nearly ran mad. So the police started investigating us. They cooked up with police. I had to rush to the IG to complain because one of the policemen had already started saying that they are charging us to court. So I went to say, you've got to get another investigator into this thing to look at what these people are doing, because I believe I don't like saying money has changed. A lot of things have happened. Something has happened at the Supreme Court. Something obviously I believe is happening in the police. The IG of police was so wonderful. And you know what he did? The IG of police immediately brought a fresh investigator into the case and asked those people to hand over their file to this new investigator. 7 days after the investigator came on, they ran from the back, ran to one court in the High Court, and said they are charging me for fraud. Luckily for me, the author of the letter, and I wrote a letter in the period of time to the CJN saying, now wow, I found myself in a very terrible position. Oh. These are the facts of this case. This is what happened. They gave us the CTCs. They made an amendment, gave me the CTCs. Suddenly, your staff, while the judges are still on holiday, are saying that the thing is fake. Can they not wait for the judges to come back? No, you know they will not, because there was some sort of a cutoff period on the 20th of September for all the candidates. So Oye and his people tried to subvert me from bringing the candidates. They wrote a letter to police through the CR and wrote a letter to police. Now will be threatening me. We are coming to arrest you. We are coming to arrest you. My people are worried. And then take one directly to the chairman of the commission, who now said, hey, they've said fraud. We can't take your judgment. The judgment is fraud. And I wrote a letter to all the judges, all of them. This is the one from my lawyer. We now wrote again to INEC, where we are writing the whole commission, telling them that there is a CTC that was served on you by the Supreme Court. But luckily, the lead judge has replied, because I wrote the CJN and I wrote the 5 members of the panel, saying, people are now saying that the judgment you people have done is not you that corrected. They're saying that I went and forged it. So the lead judge, thank God. I was just reading the other day that she's the chairperson of the human rights. I said, no wonder she can behave like that. That at least there's some human beings in Nigeria. Came out and said, please, everybody, hold on. I made the correction with all of us. We agreed to make the correction because Oye was never part of the suit. The proceedings, Njoko was the one removed. When the case was dismissed, if you are removed, if you were chairman and you are removed and the case is dismissed and a judge in an anonymous decision says it goes back to the person that was removed now. Is it going to go to you, Oye, because you and the governor have more money than I have? It's not like that. Will it go to you, Oye, because you can get somebody to write a letter and say it is forged? A director of media has no right to interpret the judgment of a Supreme Court. At least they should have waited for the judges to come back. We would not have been in this mess. Would we? We would not have been in this mess. And I also commend AIT. I won't mention some different, I nearly said the word, different stations. If you check the story of APGA, it has never been any day that a large channel in Nigeria, I won't mention its name, has ever tried to balance any story. When you finish with you are coming from Oye's own. Everything, the only thing I've seen them do today was when they put a disclaimer all the original documents.